environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect. Greg Bakken here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis's haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for a chance for thunderstorms tonight with a low around 64, Friday sunny with a high near 82, and Saturday sunny with a high around 80.
Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly cheesesteak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly cut fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. That's Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is Ghostbox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Before we get to our special guest, Lynn Monet, tonight, I just want to do a check-in on the weather as where we left off here. Last time I took a look, a great deal of Minnesota just outside of the Twin Cities, the western area of Minnesota is under a severe thunderstorm watch. That is until midnight tonight. In the Twin Cities itself, we're just under a hazardous weather outlook. Things might change. Just earlier in the evening, there was a tornado warning out in Meeker County. If anything seems to crop up or happen, we will let everyone know. Taking a look at the radar real fast, there isn't a whole lot in our area, so that's a good thing. But just know that if any sort of weather situation arises, we will let everyone know about it. But I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, but, here's the thing, is that if we're going to be talking about haunted locations, and dark energies and things that are, just kind of, it's easier to digest it when you are not living it and you're hearing about it. Why not do it during a thunderstorm? That's what I say. And I think that's what we're maybe going to be looking at tonight. We have not had on our guest, Lynn Monet, who is an author, radio host, full of amazing gifts. We haven't had her on in a while, but we have talked with her a number of times about her book series, Omnipresent. And it's really pretty incredible because a new one has just come out, well, a little while ago, but we're just getting to it. And the terror, quite frankly, hasn't stopped. Tonight we're going to be talking about the newest book, Omnipresent, Becca Dawn Drive. That's Dawn, D-A-W-N. And it's going to be quite the story. And I am so happy to have back on author Lynn Monet. Lynn, welcome to Ghostbox Radio.
Oh, Greg, I was so looking forward to this. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you very much. Now, here we go. Omnipresent Becca Dawn Drive. This is the third in the Omnipresent series, correct?
Yes.
And
yes, it is.
And it's what? So first of all, this is stuff that's happened to you, right?
Yes, personally. Mm-hmm.
What the hell? I mean,
I know, right? I know.
I mean, this is so, and this is more than just a house, more than just a house on a street. There's a lot more to it. What is Becca Dawn Drive, and what it's all about?
Becca Dawn Drive, I actually had to live in it. And, people say to me, well, Lynn, with all of your gifts, how could you get stuck in a haunted house twice? Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're an empath, do not do the virtual tour. You got to go in with your feels on. Because if you go into the virtual tour and everything looks wonderful, and then you go and you meet with people like I did to sign the paper on the dotted line, then you're asking for it. And the ironic part is my son had just graduated from high school. He was getting ready to move out on his own, and I still had my younger daughter, so I didn't need a 3-bedroom place anymore. I was going to downsize to a 2-bedroom, and this place I found was the right price on a dead-end street. It checked all of the boxes for what I needed to downsize with her. I was actually wanting to purchase a house, but because of issues with post-divorce things, I still had to wait a little bit longer. So I found this place, did a virtual tour, agreed to meet with the management company to do a quick walkthrough. And when I got there, 10 minutes. That's what saw the French doors on the back. I thought that's great. It leads to the backyard so I can let my dogs out. And I walked through quickly. And it wasn't the same apartment that they advertised in the virtual tour. And of course, I made a comment about that, but I had already given my 30 days notice, and the place that I was moving out of, my landlord already had new people getting ready to move in. So I didn't have a lot of time to look around. And like I said, the price was right. So I did. I walked through it quickly, but I asked the lady before I signed the papers, I said, if this house turns out to be haunted, can I get out of the lease? And she looked at me really, really funny. And she's like, really? And I said, yes, I had a situation with a haunted house before. I said, and I don't want to put my children, my daughter and I through that ever again. I said, I said, it's just a question. You don't have to disclose if somebody died in here. You don't have to disclose different things. But if it turns out to be haunted, then I don't want to live here. And she said, oh, well, I'm sure that we will work with you. Well, yeah, right. So anyway, the paper was signed. I was told to come back. I had noticed while I was in there, though, the one thing that I did notice that was distracting was the fact that it hadn't been cleaned. Apparently, the people that had lived there before moved out very, very quickly. And I noticed that the bathroom was kind of gross with hair in the drains and stuff like that. And I asked the lady, I said, well, this is supposed to be move-in ready. When can I get the keys? It obviously has not been cleaned. And that is a key piece to the whole story. And so she said that it would be cleaned. It was on a Thursday. That was a Thursday. It would be cleaned on Friday. They'd be finishing things up over the weekend, and then I could pick up the keys on that Monday. So I went and I picked up the keys on that Monday. If you would like for me to continue, I'll tell you some more about it. That way, if you
yeah, no, that's what I want to hear about. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this townhouse they were remodeled. There were townhouses. There were 10 of them that are connected. And I just want to say this off the beaten path. When I'm called in to help clear houses, it's very, very difficult to clear anything that is connected, like an apartment where you have somebody upstairs or downstairs, or for that matter, both, or side by side, because you go in and the spirits just go next door and they twiddle their thumbs and they wait until you finish. And then when you leave, they come back. And only with a vengeance this time, because now they know that you know that they're there, and they're going to scare the bejesus out of you because they're creatures of habit and they don't like they like being acknowledged but not being exposed, and they're going to be naughty. So the first thing that happened is that I did get the keys. I went to the apartment, and again, I walk in, I'm bringing boxes, and I notice that the apartment is still not clean. I mean, the stove is gross. The inside of the refrigerator is nasty. The oven, I mean, the cabinets had roach poop. I mean, they hadn't wiped anything out. So, of course, I immediately called the management company. I said, listen, first of all, you need an exterminator. Secondly, this is not clean. You know, you need to send somebody here to clean the house. And they reassured me that, again, the next day that they would have somebody there in the morning to clean the house. So I just went ahead and started stacking my boxes because I couldn't put anything away until it was clean. And I wasn't going to clean it. I had paid for it to be move-in ready.
So it wasn't It wasn't dirty. It was filthy.
It was filthy. Yeah. I mean, there was like congealed stuff that we won't go there on the floor in front of the toilet.
Sure.
That I was not cleaning that. And I wouldn't even let my daughter use the bathroom because, I mean, I don't know whose that was. So anyway, I'd taken several loads over and I'm standing in the taken several loads over. I'm standing in the bedroom and I'm hanging up clothes, and out of my peripheral vision, I see this little girl in my doorway. And I knew she was a ghost. She looked to be about 7 or 8 years old. She had on a cream colored dress with a pinafore over it. She had those little button boots on the sides, the buttons like they wore way, way back when. Very pretty little girl. And I turned and I said, hi. And she just kind of stood there. And I said, I mean no harm. I said, I'm just putting my clothes away. And I figured I could help cross her over. And then all of a sudden she looks over her shoulder and she takes off. So I go back the next day, expecting to finally be able to put down my shelf liner and start offloading my things from the kitchen, and the apartment wasn't clean. Nobody had been there. Now, the guys had been there to fix the broken handle on the refrigerator door that fell off when I tried to open it, and the cracked drawers. And this was a practically brand new refrigerator. And so somebody, you know, abused it pretty badly, whoever was there before. So, but it wasn't clean. So I called them again. And in the meantime, this lady comes from the office to get the key box off of the door. And I said, listen, I want you to come in and see what I'm looking at here. This has not been cleaned. And she agreed with me. She said, oh, especially the bathroom, that's disgusting. You know, she's like, we will have somebody come over here and take care of it. Mm-hmm. So they were supposed to have somebody come that afternoon. So I come back the next day, and again, it's not clean. So I called them and I said to them, I said, look, I can't even move in here until you get someone here to clean this. And the lady had the audacity to say to me, why don't you clean it yourself?
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, hell no, you didn't. you
wow.
know,
Yeah.
Yes, no joke. So I said, no, I said, if you think that it's okay for me to clean it, then why don't you come over here and clean it? So she said, well, I'll give your phone number to the cleaning lady. And she did. And so I'm driving another load that afternoon over to the house. And again, I'm stacking boxes because I can't put anything away other than my clothes because I wiped the closet out and vacuumed it. And I get a call from the cleaning lady. So, okay. So she calls me and she said, listen, I am so sorry that I did not finish cleaning your house. She said, but you're going to think that I'm crazy, but I want to beg you not to move in there.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, oh, why are there drug deals going on? Did somebody get murdered next door? I mean, why? It seems like a decent place. And the thing was too, is when I was in the kitchen at one point stacking boxes, I kept hearing this mumbling. And I thought that it was because the kitchen window overlooked the parking area. And I thought maybe somebody was outside on their cell phone talking, trying not to, have anybody overhear them. And I said, well, why? And she said, well, your apartment is haunted. She said, that whole building is haunted. She said, but yours is the worst one and the one next door to yours. Yours has the portal in the corner in that room when you walk in off to the right-hand side in the back. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? Are you talking about the little girl? And she said, oh, yes, there is a little girl. And she described exactly what I had seen. I did not describe her. She described it. She said, but that's not the one that you have to worry about. She says, it's the slender man with the black eyes that stands around in the bathroom mumbling. And then it triggered me. I remembered hearing the mumbling when I was in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yep.
and assumed it was something else. And so that's kind of how it all played out. And of course, at that point in time, I had already signed the lease.
Of course.
You know,
Well, and I figured that is why the apartment was never cleaned. I didn't think to that extent of that deep into what she knew about the spirits in the house, but I figured that someone was not happy being in the house when they had to clean it because of some sort of paranormal activity.
exactly. And that is what she said. She said, I am so sorry. She said, I cannot go back in that apartment and clean it. And I said, look, I have the cleaning lady that's supposed to clean the place I'm moving out of coming tomorrow to clean it because I have to get moved in here and get my stuff out of there. And she said, I will pay you for that other cleaning lady to come. And she did. She came and she met me in the out front, and she did. And I asked her, my son and I at that point, after speaking to her, I called him on the phone and I told him about it. I said, look, I need you just to come and back me up. I said, I have to do a blessing on the house. Well, at that time, I didn't know how to create an energetic force field to block them out. Once I got them out, to block them out so that they can't come back in. I since have learned how to do that. But so he's like, Mom, no way. It couldn't possibly happen again. But this time I had to actually live in it. I couldn't get out of it. I contacted the management company. I confronted them about the fact that I had spoken to the girl when I signed the lease and said that if it was haunted, that they would let me get out of it. And of course, they're like, well, haunting isn't a grounds for you to cancel your lease. And I said, and even you know about it because she told me that she told you all about it and that she doesn't want to come and clean these townhouses anymore. So that's how it all kind of started. It was validated that it was haunted, and it was haunted. My clearings too at that point didn't work because then I understood the fact that the spirit was just moving next door, twiddling their thumbs and coming back. So I had to learn some new techniques to do things and some ways to barricade. But the thing is that I talk about stuff to everybody. The people that lived immediately next door to me, if you're facing the front door, they were on the right-hand side in number 5. I was in number 4. And they kept having religious services in their house. I assumed that's what it was, but it turned out that they were also having problems in the house. The daughter told me about it, for instance, with her parents, and I'm glad that this is late night radio, and I'll word it so that it's not a way that's over the top. She told me that her parents were sleeping in bed one night, and their bedroom connected with the wall with my bedroom, and the mother and the father were sleeping, and then the mother woke up because she could feel the husband kind of loving on her.
Sure. Absolutely.
Loving on her.
Yep.
And so she was kind of getting in the mood. So she kind of rolled over to love on him back. And he was turned on his side with his back to her, and he was sound asleep.
No way it could have been him.
No. So she nudged him. She's like, why on earth would you be, touching me and getting me all ready and, hot and bothered. And now you just roll over and go to sleep. I mean, she was upset.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I've been sleeping this whole time. And they got into a huge fight about it. And these were the kinds of things that were happening. There was a ghost. And in my experience as a nurse, end of life care, I've seen a lot of people die. I have the gift of second sight. I see lots of ghosts and things like that. But I've never seen a naked ghost, because at your time of transition, your loved ones show up in clothes, because really, how weird would it be if they showed up naked? I mean, you'd be like, I don't want to go with you naked. Go get some clothes on, type thing.
Right. Yeah.
So this is the first time that I've ever seen a naked ghost. And this ghost was literally going from townhouse to townhouse, crawling in bed with women, pulling down their covers, pulling down their underwear all the way to their ankles, crawling in bed with them. But he was an all-around pervert. He was groping men too. I took a picture of him in one of the other ladies' apartments that came and got me once when she was having activity in her, because all of a sudden I became the lady that everybody came to, because I was talking about it. I was openly talking about it. I'm like passing out dragon's blood and sage to everybody. But the thing about it is that 7 of the 10 townhouses, I actually spoke to people that were affected, and the other ones were constantly turning over so quickly. I mean, people didn't finish out their leases. When I went back to the management company to make an issue of it again, it was under totally new management. The management literally changed like 3 times within the first 6 months that I was there, and changed a total of 4 times in the entire year that I was there. So, they couldn't even keep management. Nobody wanted to be bothered with these 2 buildings. So come to find out, the young ladies in number 1 were getting ready to move, and their indoor cat got out. And so they saw me in the backyard with my dog one day, and they had mentioned to me, our cat's gotten out. This is what it looks like. We've leaving food out for it. If you see it, would you please collect it and bring it in, and we'll get it from you? I'm like, okay, fine. Well, these 2 ladies, in looking for their cat, ended up opening up the area underneath the house, had a crawl space in it. But the crawl space at one point was almost big enough that you could kind of bend over and walk into it.
Sure.
And they said that there were dead cat carcasses, like a whole bunch of them underneath the building of that house, in different stages of decomposing. Thought to myself, I kept smelling a stench coming up, and I thought that it was the adhesive on the new floor that they had put down in there, but it turns out that there were dead cat carcasses under there.
Lynn, I'm going to break in here real fast because I want us to get a break in with some commercials, but I want to come back and talk about this. But I also want to really come back and talk about the Slender Man as well. I mean, that's pretty crazy. And folks, if you have any questions, please put it in the comments because this is quite the book and quite the experience. And I have like 1,000 questions myself, and we're going to get to as many as we can here. Taking a break. Can we come back? Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned, community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect. Greg Bakken here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakken here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Looking for something different for family fun? A night out with friends or your next team building event? Try the escape rooms at Lilliput. Step into the Haunted Mansion, race to find a cure in the bunker, or survive Night of the Wolf, all with just 60 minutes to escape. It's private, immersive, and perfect for groups of all kinds. Book your adventure now, spots fill fast. Visit lilliput.net and see if your team has what it takes to escape. Now, if you were planning on going out to the Pillsbury Club tomorrow night for our paranormal investigation with Char Savoy and myself, I'm happy to say it. You might be a little bummed. We are sold out. I found out today we are sold out for tomorrow night, but don't despair. There are still tickets left for the September 4th paranormal investigation of the Pillsbury Club. We're going to be doing this, and I think we're actually going to be adding some dates here coming up really soon because we've been very blessed with people really being excited about this and taking part. So please do so. But, it doesn't stop you from going on a Minneapolis trolley tour, Candlelight Ghost tour tomorrow, or why don't you go check out Lilliput in Coon Rapids? You can do some mini golf, glow golf. You can do some of the escape rooms. There's a new arcade there. It's a great way. And I just kind of remember this stuff when I was a kid, going to the mini golf place when I was a kid and really having fun on a Friday night and getting, into the arcade and winning stuff. Go check it out. It's a great, great location, a great night for family fun. And I think you'd have a lot of fun. And it's going to be nice out tomorrow night. So please go take a look, lilliput.net. That's where you can find out everything that's going on over there. Meanwhile, I am very happy to have with us author Lynn Monet. We are talking about her newest book, Omnipresent, Becca Dawn Drive. And before we get back to talking about the book, I do want to make sure people know that there is this wonderful thing called the Lynn Monet Show. And this is what, on the Ground Zero Network?
Yes, on Ground Zero Plus on Clyde Lewis's channel.
Okay. How do people find that?
Well, if you follow my Lynn Monet page, I post weekly. I have my shows premiere on Sunday, and then they play again on Thursday. So you can listen in for free those 2 days. If you go and you click in at the designated time, which is usually between 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my shows are 2 hours. I've got a lot of people from Ancient Aliens on there. I've got definitely some big names on there. And Greg is also going to come and be on my show. So we're gonna get behind the scene. We're gonna get down and dirty. No, I'm just kidding with Greg. We're gonna get.
You're moving away from the big names to go to the small names for an episode or two, and that's where I fit in. So that's
no. Actually, you're not a small name. Yeah, you are well known in the circles. So we're definitely going to have Greg on as well to talk about some things. And but definitely listen in. If you go at between 6 to 8 o'clock on Monday or Thursday, you can go to groundzeroplus.com and find the host pages. You can click on my host page. It'll take you straight to my show. You can listen in for free during the time that it's playing actively on the radio. It goes out to 660 radio stations throughout the United States and Canada. So definitely listen in. And after that, you'll have to buy a subscription, which is also great. Then you can listen in to everybody's shows. It's not just mine. They have shows constantly playing, throughout the week. And it's Christmas is coming. It's a nice gift, or it's a nice spooky ooky gift for Halloween. But I just did an interview with one of the people that helped manage ACDC, and so it's not just oogie boogie stuff. It's also some really cool history and some music, musicians and things like that. So
that is great.
I'm excited.
That is great. And I was just seeing, because it's like today you would have had a show on, but it's now past the time that it was playing. But that was Julie Adriani.
Yes. Oh no, everybody, you'll definitely reach out to Julie. She is definitely an amazing psychic. What is that blonde lady in New York that they call her the Rhode Island psychic or something? She's very famous.
The Long Island medium.
Long Island medium. Adriana does that. Julie Adriana does that same thing. So definitely reach out to her. She's been extremely accurate for me. She told me that I was going to be going back and forth to the United States, and I'm thinking to myself, nah, I don't have any trips planned that far. I'm not going. She says, no, I see you're going boop, 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 boop. And sure enough, I've been to Arizona since March 4 times.
Very, very nice.
Totally not expected. So she's very accurate.
That's very cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And so yes, please go listen if you haven't already. And it sounds like it's so many places that it's almost impossible to miss, quite frankly.
Yes.
That you go and listen to the Lynn Monet show, and that's very cool. And what about writing? Are you doing any more writing?
I am. I actually have completed the 4th book in the Omnipresent series. It's going to be coming out around Halloween. It's called Omnipresent Gnome, as in GNOME, place like home, which is an experience that occurred in a piece of property that I inherited when my sister passed away, that was filled with all kinds of little aliens and fae and elementals, and I have pictures of them. So it turned out as something. The property's enchanted. It wasn't at first, because it was difficult at first, but it's just a whole nother beautiful story about coming together with other. I mean, there's so many other interdimensional beings that are boots on the ground with us every day, every minute of every day. We just can't see them because their frequency is higher than ours and they're cloaked. So, but they're paralleling us. They're definitely with us. So these books are to bridge the gap between the interdimensional beings who, with the frequency elevations occurring, we're going to all start seeing more of.
What's going on, Lynn? Here's the question, okay? Have you thought about what's the connection of all the properties that you've ended up at that are, have these, some good and some not so good haunted situations? Did you ever stop and think, what's the purpose? What's the purpose of me being in these places?
I have, and I know that the first haunted house was the purpose of letting the young man be released that was being held prisoner there by the 2 demonic people in the original book, the Omnipresent book. The house that I never moved into.
Yeah.
People were getting clawed to the point of bleeding. The second book that I wrote, the purpose for that was I did a rotation later in life to further my degree in nursing. I also have a degree in biology. I also am certified death doula. I also am a soon to be licensed mace practitioner. But was to learn about how attachments are on people with addiction and also on people with mental illness, and how to help with some of that. So to be exposed to it, I've had the gift of second sight ever since I was a little girl, which means that I do see dead people. Okay, it's not all of the time. Sometimes it comes up unexpectedly with the way that I see them. I can see them as clear as I see you in my peripheral vision. I can tell you even what color their eyes are if they're close enough to me in my peripheral vision. When they're at distance, they look kind of opaque, kind of like what you would look like if you were walking up to a plate glass window, like at a mall, from the parking lot, and you see your own reflection. That's how they look to me. And when they're close up, they're like waffling to the air, like gas fumes or hot vapors off of a road, is how they appear to me. It's energetic. And as we all know, energy can't be created or destroyed. We don't die, but our meat suits give out. So we have to leave them behind and move on. But I'm sorry, just pulled that into shake it. But I think it's because I have the gift to see. With the Fae and Elementals, it came to an advantage, because here this one main little elemental that we now call Bob, who was doing all kinds of naughty little things. When I first couple of nights that I spent there, my hair was being tied in knots. He put an attachment on me that I had to call a friend, JJ Rose, to take off of me because it was that big. And plus I was stressed. My sister just passed away, so my own arc field and protection was a little thin because of the stress, and I wasn't preparing myself and protecting myself the way that I normally would have going into a situation like that, and had no idea he was there. I didn't even know about that kind of stuff. I thought the house was haunted. So when my son and I went in and completely did a blessing on the house, and we see this little thing walking past us that looks like Hogwarts, the bankers from Harry Potter.
Mhm.
And I don't say anything. And my son speaks up and he says, "Did you just see Harry? Did you just see Hogwarts go by?" And I'm like, "Yes." Turned out that there was this being. And the thing about Fae and elementals is that they never leave. They were here before religion, so they're not affected by the methods that you would use to get out, say, a demon or a ghost. So you either make nice or you leave.
Yeah.
And everything was centered around a rock that my sister had inadvertently picked up. It was the size of my hand, but it was heart-shaped, very nondescript, ugly rock, but it was his rock. So she made the mistake of bringing it into the house, and he was coming into the house because that rock was his baby. So, yeah, and he was very, very nasty. He was not being very nice to people, that were in the house, including her. And she was very sick, and he helped add to it. So, that's how the story goes. But
So
yeah.
I was just going to say that in the comments, Denise says, this sounds all identical to my gifts. I need to get these books. And I think it's a good time to let people know that you have the books available on linmonet.com. Are these signed? Are these signed copies, or do
If
you not
they
care
order-
about the readers? No, I'm just kidding. But
I love my people. If they order them through linmonet.com, I will sign them and I send them out personally. If they order them through Amazon, they're not signed. So
and may I just quickly say, if you do order them through Amazon, please consider going through my affiliated link because it helps the show directly. But I would say, please go through Lynn Monet. It just seems to be the right thing to do. So,
well, thank you. And I don't mind throwing a few, definitely, I would be, I'm gonna make a proposition on the radio tonight, people, so listen up. I will give out 10 free ebooks of my brand new book that has just come out, or a book of your choice, if you donate to the coffee fund, or to what are the other things that you have going on, Greg, that they can partake in, or what did you say? What is the one of the funds that not Caprion, what do they call it?
A Patreon?
Patreon, yes. If they want to put into your Patreon, and what they can do is you'll notice the names of the people. And if they put in over $25 to donate to you, then you let me know who they are. It'll be between you and me, and I will include you in on the ebook when I send it out to them, so that you are ensured that they have received it.
That's very, very kind. Thank you very much. And I'm not going to say no to that. If someone wants to do that and it helps everybody out, it helps little me out. Patreon.com/Ghostbox Radio. That's very kind about that. I want to do this because, I don't have the luxury of a 2-hour show yet, but like you do. But I have to take a break again. So doing so, when we come back, I want to talk just more about the stuff that's going on in this cluster of buildings. And quite frankly, we're not going to get through all. That's why you need to get the book anyway. So once again, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Omnipresent, Becca Dawn Drive, with our very special guest tonight, author Lynn Monet. People, don't go anywhere. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Greg Bakken here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are. But now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect. It's that time of year where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lily Putt is open for the season, and you know what that means. Lily Putt is known for its mini golf, go-karts, glow golf, jump pads, kiddie carts, gem mining, and even a new arcade. Lily Putt also has interactive and engaging escape rooms like the Haunted Mansion, the Bunker, or Night of the Wolf. Lily Putt is perfect for parties and group events. Stop by lilyputt.net for more information and hours of operation. Greg Bakken here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursions to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And join me tomorrow on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. We're going to be doing Casual Friday. It's going to be a replay since I'm going to be at the Pillsbury Club, but Monday, we're going to have the return of C.L. Thomas. She's going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite places that I've only been on the outside of, but I want to get in there someday, and that's the Goldfield Hotel in Goldfield, Nevada. We're going to be talking about that, and it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to that conversation. Now, right now, we are having a great conversation with author Lynn Monet. We are talking about her most recent book, Omnipresent, Becca Dawn Drive. And don't forget, you can find her book over at linmonet.com. Also, if you go over to the site, you're going to see really what she's all about over there. There's a lot of information, a lot of stuff you could check out, and it's worth your time. Once again, linmonet.com. I mean, here we go. I mean, this seems like the fastest hour ever, and trying to figure out like where to go to next to talk about what are some things that, instead of me just asking questions, what do you think is the most important thing to highlight about this situation that you had at this rental property? Now, you don't live there anymore, right?
No, no. I finished out my lease and I left, and you know, just the fact that these things do exist, you know, people are in denial. I actually had an experience. One of the very first nights that we slept there, my daughter wouldn't sleep in her room because the toys kept going off by themselves in her closet.
Of course they are.
Probably was the little girl playing with them. But then a couple of nights later, there was this constant tapping on the nightstand next to my head. And I thought maybe it was condensation dripping off of the window. So of course I checked, but I had my moment with the skinny mumbling man. I was laying on my side. My daughter was in bed with me. She slept with me the whole rest of the time that we lived there, because my son ended up moving back in and took her room over. He didn't want to sleep in there either because something kept fluffing his hair and making the toys go off. So I'm laying on my side, and all of a sudden I feel the covers just ever so gently being pulled down just past my hip. And of course, I wore a nightgown, not like a shorts and a t-shirt kind of thing. So I'm feeling this thing getting pulled down, and then I feel my nightgown getting pulled up. I was pretending to be asleep. I knew what it was because I had already kind of, had talked to people. I grab the sheets and I pull them up like I'm sleeping and being disturbed, and I pull them all back up. I lay there for a minute, and it starts again, gently pulling down the covers on my bed, on my thing, and they get down about halfway down my hip and start with the nightgown again. And I immediately sat up, and I had no uncertain terms. I dropped some F-bombs. You need to get what out of this apartment. Go play with somebody else that you're actually going to scare, because you're not scaring me. I know that you're here. You have no right to be here. You need to get out. I'm going to make sure that you get out. The other thing that's important too is if you do have your house cleared, before you put any kind of energetic force field up, you need to make sure that you got everything out.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're blocking it in, you're gating it in. Another thing too, people, there are certain things that need to be done before your house is cleared. Number one, your house needs to be clean. Clutter and a lot of things like that, draw them in, give them more places to hide. So if you call someone like me, I'm not coming if I have to climb over things to get to areas that I need to. The other thing is too, is you need to make sure that, your behavior is up to par. In the sense being, I mean, if I walk past your closet, there's a Ouija board, and I'm not condemning the fact that the Ouija boards, I personally don't care for them, but I know that there are some people that do use them responsibly and close the portals afterwards. But I mean, they just recently, back in like 2017 or something, came out with a pink Ouija board for Barbie and a blue Ouija board for Ken. So here, kids can drive at 16, they can drink at 21, but at 8 years old, you can open portals for interdimensional beings to come in,
Yep.
at 8 years old. So you've got to, if I'm going to come there, and if there's something going on in the household that is drawing them in, addiction, porno, drugs, fighting, different things like that, there are certain things that you need to clean up, because if I come in and I remove your ghosts, and let's just say, your spouse is going to the peep show, and he doesn't realize that there are all kinds of spirits around him watching the peep show too, because they're addicted to it and they didn't cross over. It's going to roll out the red carpet to bring those things right back into your house. So you've got to do some work. You can't just call me up and say, come and get them. They're invading my house, but you're not willing to stop whatever behavior it is that you're doing. And in the case of apartment complexes, you don't know what the people next door are doing.
Nope.
So it's very, very important that you make sure that your place is completely clear before you put up that force field that I talk about in my book.
It also, in my experience as well, is that if you're having something that you're feeling oppressed by or whatever else, what would be nice? Open your shades, pull up the blinds, or you don't pull up blinds, but you know what I mean. Get some sunlight in there, put some flowers in there, do something to kind of raise the tone of the place, as well as, and I'm curious of your thoughts on this. One of the things that we had tried to get people to understand is that don't keep talking about it either. Don't start talking, especially in an apartment complex. Don't start going to, even if it's shared experience, the more you talk about it, the more you could recreate it.
It is a good idea not to talk about it in your space, because as I had mentioned, they do like being acknowledged but not exposed. Yeah. And I like what you said about the sunshine. They need to, everybody needs to open all of the windows in their house like every couple of months, even if it's for 10 minutes, just to let the stagnant air move out and some fresh air come in. Not necessarily in the middle of winter, but you need to let that movement through your house.
Yeah.
So, so that is very important, and having the sunshine in and taking care of your things. So
absolutely.
It is so important, but because they are drawn to you, and You get people that have not crossed over, because people can choose to cross over or not when they pass away. And if they choose not to cross over, they still have mental illness. We have all of our senses, whether we cross over or not, including smell, which people argue about because of the olfactory nerve, but it's a memory recall in the case of a spirit. And their cause of death still shows their mental illness and their addiction. So if you have a habit, there are spirits that have that same habit lingering around you that you can't see. If you're in the bar drinking, they're trying to sniff your drink. If you're watching porno, they're watching porno with you. You should probably be charging for what you're doing in there. But I'm just saying, you've got to not be rolling the red carpet back out for these things to come in.
Well, and you bring up also a really good point that people, I think, sometimes gloss over, and we have about 6 minutes left. Especially if you haven't crossed over, you're going to be as you are in life, as you are in death. And what I mean by that is that pervert you talked about.
Yes.
It's like this isn't, and because you run into people, I run into people at least, who are like, oh, once they think someone passes away, they sprout wings and fly away like an angel. And it's like, no, if you're a creep and you haven't crossed over, you're just still hanging around, you're going to continue to be a creep, and then take advantage, as clearly has been the case with the people in your complex as well as yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And like I had mentioned in the beginning, there were 7 different townhouses out of 10. The people, once I started talking about it and they started hearing about it, we actually, right before I moved out, we created a circle right in the parking lot where all of us came out together so that we weren't talking about it in the building. And each one was talking about things that had happened: the cabinet slamming, the water running, being groped during the night, having their hair fluffed, having their kids' toys turn on and off, and people getting divorced and fighting with each other and bickering, because one was accusing the other one of leaving the water running when it wasn't. So it was that heavy negative pull that was in there. And then just the 7 of us being out there, the other people were curious as they're pulling up, hey, what's everybody talking about? And it's like, well, this place is haunted. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? So some people had the experience, some people didn't, but 7 out of 10 definitely had the experience.
Now we have 4 minutes left. You moved out.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of the people who stayed behind, have they reached out to you since to come back and help, or has it been completely turned over in terms of residents there? Or
most of those people left before I did.
Before you did?
Okay. Yes, before I did. They left before I did. And if they didn't, they left shortly thereafter. There was one gentleman that I saw because I was giving a wagon to him for his daughter. And he told me, he said, my little girl was talking about things in the house and I wasn't listening. And he says, my marriage would not have ended if I had known this sooner, because we were constantly fighting when we moved into that apartment. So one person I did see, but haven't really stayed in touch. But now they're actually trying to sell the townhouses individually instead of renting them, because they can't keep them rented.
So
they
they're
can't
trying
even
to get
keep
some
them
money
made clean it. Yes,
Gosh.
Exactly.
Whereas they should just bulldoze it.
Well, yes. And then, but the thing is that it's not necessarily always the building. I mean, people assume that the building, or it's the age, it's not about the age of the house. It's about the age of the ground that it's built on. So even if you burn it down or bulldoze it, it's still going to have the issues. You know what I'm saying? So, but to me, nobody should live in it. They should make it into a park or something instead of, a junkyard or something, instead of people living there. So I agree with you on that.
Well, and it might just be satisfying all the same to watch it get bulldozed.
Yes.
But no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like that there needs to be a lot of work, because, and I don't, I was going to ask how did it leave off, but people need to get the book to kind of figure out and read about how all that works and whatnot. But, nothing's followed you though, right?
No. And you know what? Stuff crosses through my house all of the time, but it's not stuck. And there are so many interdimensional beings and things that I've had to work with. They don't bother me. I mean, I've even seen hell dogs more than once. And the thing is that I've learned with them is that if I radiate love, they shrivel because to them, love is not an emotion that they have, and it's a repellent for them. So, I'll be like, come on, I'll teach you a class on love. And then they look at each other like I'm the crazy one and they take off. Now, some of these other things that are on this earth, which is a whole nother show with some of these reptilian things, and it's a lot of stuff. I'd rather deal with a demon than a reptilian any day.
Yep.
So, because it's all, there's so much that is going to, that people are going to start to notice for themselves and see for themselves here really, really soon.
Well, that's just it. There's so many things that people think that are only in like sci-fi stories, but the fact is that they've been on the earth for so long.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, you're right. That's a whole other conversation, but an incredibly interesting one as well.
Yes. And also, we'll have to do one too about addiction and attachments, because there are these reptilian archonic attachments that attach to people with addiction, and they fit on them like little backpacks. And like I said, that's a whole nother show too. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. And we're already running out of time. That's really quick. It goes by very quick, doesn't it? Especially, and the thing is, and this is where I get kind of bummed out of, we really we haven't even scratched the surface on the book itself.
Well, but definitely reach out and read it. Like I said, if you go through Greg, then I will definitely, you can have your free ebook if you do, as we'd already mentioned prior, to donate the certain specific amount, and how that would all work out. But also, I am streaming on Gaia with George Norrie on Beyond Belief. So nice. If anybody wants to see that as well, definitely reach out and go ahead. If you've got a subscription there, you can turn in and watch the show with me and George. Also,
that is fantastic. Lynn Monet, the book is called Omnipresent Becca Dawn Drive. Check out the book. Lynn, it's so great to have you on. Thank you so very much for tonight.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I was really looking forward to doing this with you tonight.
Me too. And we're going to do it again, I hope, very soon. Once again, the book is called Omnipresent Becca Dawn Drive. Tomorrow, Casual Friday. Everyone, have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye.